This is the military dog that even the FBI can't afford. It's trained to detect explosives, attack on command, and parachute into enemy territory. But it doesn't serve the police. It doesn't serve civilians. It serves only the world's top special forces, and it costs more than a Tesla. But to understand how a single dog could become a weapon worth more than a car, we need to look at the most elite, most expensive special forces dogs on Earth, starting with the one that once jumped out of a helicopter into active enemy fire. But before we move ahead, don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't guard a mansion. It doesn't patrol a city. It serves only the units that operate where maps end and deniability begins. A single animal trained to detect explosives, breach on command, and jump from helicopters into live fire. Not a pet. A precision-built weapon, priced higher than a car, and, if the whispers are true, kept off any list the public could ever see. But how does a dog become more valuable than a Tesla and more feared than a drone? To answer that, we're going inside the world's most elite K9 programs, where training costs run into six figures. Gear rivals special ops loadouts, and a heartbeat can be the difference between mission and massacre. Some of what you'll hear is documented. Some of it comes from debriefs, veteran accounts, and reports that never made the evening news. And a few claims, like the rumored shadow breed within NATO, are exactly that. Rumors cited by insiders but never confirmed. Consider them the smoke that suggests a fire we're not meant to see. We start with the dogs that jump first and bleed last, the ones that clear doorways before the team moves, the ones that don't bark, don't flinch, don't miss. First up, a Belgian Malinois that took a bullet in Afghanistan and still finished the job. In 2011, deep in Afghanistan's Helmand province, a British SAS team was ambushed. Gunfire tore through the night, ricocheting off mud walls. The team was pinned. Then, through the dust and chaos, they released Kilo, a Belgian Malinois, lean, fast, and trained to track and neutralize threats, even in total darkness. Kilo sprinted ahead, weaving between bursts of gunfire, his camera feeding real-time video back to his handler. Then, one shot. The feed shook. Kilo had taken a bullet to the chest. Most dogs would have dropped instantly. Kilo didn't. He kept moving, clearing the building, cornering an armed fighter, and buying his team the seconds they needed to storm in and finish the job. Only after the fight ended did Kilo collapse. They airlifted him out under the same priority code as a wounded soldier. He survived, and weeks later, scars still fresh, Kilo was back in the field. The cost to train him? Over $40,000. The value to the men whose lives he saved? Beyond calculation. But as deadly as Kilo was, the next dog on our list didn't just run into fire. He jumped into it from the sky. May 1st, 2011. Abbottabad, Pakistan. Two Black Hawk helicopters skimmed the tree line, their rotors barely louder than the night. On board, America's most elite strike unit, SEAL Team 6, and one passenger with 4 legs, Cairo, a Belgian Malinois outfitted with body armor, night vision, and an earpiece linked directly to his handler. His mission: secure the perimeter, detect any hidden explosives, and ensure no one escaped alive. When the team breached Osama bin Laden's compound, Cairo hit the ground running, literally. He swept corridors before the SEALs moved in, sniffed for bombs along walls and doorways, and stationed himself as the silent sentinel while the gunfire erupted inside. He wasn't just muscle, he was a sensor, a living radar in an environment where one wrong move could end the mission. By the time the SEALs were exfiltrating with the world's most wanted man's body, Cairo had already cleared their escape route. No enemy fighters made it past him. No explosives detonated. For operational security, many details about Cairo remain classified, even his full list of missions. But that night in Abbottabad ensured his place in military history. If Kilo proved a dog could take a bullet, Cairo proved one could change the course of history. And our next K9, he didn't just serve on missions. He became one of the most heavily guarded assets in the United States military. Over 6 years of deployment through the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan, one dog walked alongside U.S. Marines on over 400 missions without ever losing a single soldier under her watch. Her name was Luca, a German Shepherd Belgian Malinois mix, trained to detect explosives before they could detonate. In 2012, during a patrol in Afghanistan, Luca detected one IED buried in the road, then pushed ahead to search for more. That's when a second device exploded beneath her. The blast tore through her leg and burned her chest, filling the air with dust and shrapnel. Marines rushed to her side. Despite the pain, Luca remained calm, tail still wagging, until she was airlifted out. Surgeons amputated her front leg. Most thought her military career was over, but Luca recovered faster than anyone expected, returning to base to greet her team, now a legend. The U.S. Marine Corps awarded her the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, for saving countless lives. Luca's service proved something extraordinary. Even when stripped of the ability to fight, a war dog's courage never fades. And as incredible as her story is, the next dog didn't just save lives on the battlefield. He hunted down a terrorist leader in the middle of the night, October 26, 2019. Northwest Syria, a compound deep in ISIS-held territory. Inside was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the world's most wanted terrorist, leader of the so-called Islamic State. Outside, in the darkness, U.S. Delta Force operators prepared for a raid that would make global headlines. Alongside them was Conan, a Belgian Malinois with nerves of steel, trained to chase down the most dangerous humans alive. When al-Baghdadi tried to flee through a tunnel, Conan was sent in, sprinting into the black void ahead of the team. His mission: force the target into a dead end and prevent any chance of escape. Moments later, the tunnel erupted with the blast of the terrorist's suicide vest, killing him and two of his children. Conan was wounded by shrapnel and debris, but survived. Within days, he was flown back to the U.S., hailed as a hero by the Pentagon, and even invited to the White House. President Trump called him the world's most famous dog, a living symbol of military precision and courage. Conan's role wasn't just about one mission. It proved that even in the era of drones and satellites, nothing can replace the instincts and speed of a trained war dog. And the next dog in our story, he didn't serve in secrecy. He served in the spotlight, becoming one of the most celebrated military mascots in history. Before there were military K-9 units, there was Sergeant Stubby, a stray Boston Terrier mix who wandered onto a training field in 1917 and attached himself to an American infantry unit preparing for World War I. Technically, dogs weren't allowed in the U.S. Army back then, but Stubby's charm, loyalty, and uncanny ability to learn commands won over the soldiers and eventually their commanding officer. When the unit shipped out to France, Stubby was smuggled aboard the ship, hidden under a soldier's coat. In the trenches, Stubby became more than a mascot. He learned to recognize the sound of incoming artillery before humans could. He warned troops of poison gas attacks, found wounded soldiers in no man's land, and even caught a German spy by biting his leg and holding on until help arrived. For his bravery, Stubby was promoted to sergeant, making him the first dog in U.S. history to hold a military rank. By the end of the war, he had served in 17 battles, survived multiple wounds, and returned home as a national hero. Stubby's story reminds us that courage doesn't come from orders or training. In the winter of 1925, the remote town of Nome, Alaska, was facing a nightmare. A deadly diphtheria outbreak was spreading, and the only cure was hundreds of miles away. Blizzards had grounded planes. The ports were frozen. There was only one option left: sled dogs. Leading the final leg of the grueling 674-mile serum run was a Siberian husky named Balto. Through whiteout conditions, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and temperatures that plunged to 40 degrees, Balto charged ahead, navigating by scent and instinct when even his musher couldn't see the trail. After more than 5 days of relay travel, Balto and his team arrived in Nome, delivering the life-saving antitoxin. The epidemic was stopped in its tracks. Balto's courage turned him into an instant hero. Statues were built, books written, and his story became a legend. But for Balto, it wasn't about fame. It was about finishing the run. Today, his bronze likeness still stands in New York's Central Park, reminding us that sometimes history's greatest heroes aren't human at all. From battlefields to burning buildings, one thing is clear: heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear fur. We've met the war veterans, the lifesavers, the explorers, and the protectors protectors. Remember, you're looking into the eyes of a creature capable of extraordinary things, because history has shown us the world needs saving. Sometimes the bravest soul in the fight walks on 4 legs.